are headed to Charleston, South Carolina. Let's go.
Ravens call echo, battle crescent. Drums of war dictate no place to pretend. Warriors stand strong, faith in hands. Till silence, we conquer these lands.
Seaplane.
My crew and I are tired after arriving in Charleston. The flight is very long, and I think we're just all happy to be off the plane. For me, the worst part of flying is always trying to find the baggage claim and hoping my luggage makes it in one piece. Finally, after some teamwork, we make our way to the car and then we eventually make our way to the hotel. Now, the hotel is beautiful inside, and I am very pleased with all of the amenities. We get a suite on the second floor, which is perfectly fine by me. It's a beautiful room. After a good night's sleep, we hit the continental breakfast. To my surprise, it's a full buffet. Somebody is making a waffle in the waffle maker. It's going to be a long day, so my crew and I loaded up on eggs, sausage, chili chicken, I think it was chili chicken, and a little bit of cheese on top. We headed out to the Boone Hall Plantation. I was very excited about this. The Boone Hall Plantation itself is very spooky, especially with all this rain. It's really creepy here. Like, it could be a horror movie. I wouldn't want to be stuck in the middle of all of this in the night. Oh my goodness, it's creepy. Founded in 1681 by Englishman Major John Boone, the plantation remains standing as part of South Carolina's rich history. The 740-acre property is said to be haunted by the spirits of those who were enslaved here. Visitors claim to hear faint singing or whispers in the woods. Sometimes there's footsteps or creaking floors in the old cabins. I will admit that walking through the garden is actually not scary at all. It's very tranquil. And I'm okay just sitting here and wandering around, and yeah, this is pretty good. Okay, enough relaxing. We have a haunted plantation to see. The plantation started on indigo crops. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Indigo, I think it's a flower. And it transitioned into cotton. And then by the American Revolutionary War, cotton prices fluctuated. So by the 1850s, the enslaved children were especially put to work to make red bricks. Now, the red bricks can be seen all over Charleston and up the Midwest, apparently. They were sold for building materials. It is hard to guess exactly how many slaves died here on this property over the centuries. There's not a lot of documentation, but we do know that a lot of them did die here, and perhaps their spirits remain here to this day. Although it's a creepy place to be, and I'm confident there are spirits that roam these grounds, I haven't seen a thing here. I will have to look at the video footage later and see if I see anything. I don't know. The flashing light reminds me of something out of the back rooms. I don't know. It's creepy. I love how everybody decorated their houses for Halloween, or at least I think it's for Halloween. Of course, pirates. Why not pirates? In fact, many pirates were imprisoned and hung here in Charleston.
The Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon is one of Charleston's most historically significant landmarks. The structure was built in the late 18th century as a customs house and commercial exchange in one of the busiest ports in colonial America. During the American Revolution, the British used the underground chambers to imprison American patriots, privateers, and prisoners of war. Prisoners were crammed into small, dark, poorly ventilated rooms. Rats and other vermin scurried along the filthy floor. During high tides, seawater flooded the rooms, mixing with human excrement. Over the centuries, stories of ghostly encounters, such as heaviness, voices, shadows, and apparitions have added to the dungeon's mystery. One of the spirits seen here is of the infamous Stede Bonnet, who was found guilty for piracy and executed in December 1718.
I'm really excited about this carriage ride. Oh my goodness. Perhaps we'll finally see some ghosts.
That lowest level is beneath sea level. Right now, it's probably flooding. Even though high tide was hours ago with all the rain we've been getting, yeah, that water level rises. So what they would do with the prisoners, if they have them on that lowest level, they'd chain them to the wall like this. And then they wouldn't be standing like I, just sitting on the ground. And they would leave them down there for days and weeks. They were waiting for the phases of the moon to change. Around here, we get a 5 to 7 foot tidal difference. And based on where you are, that means, maybe we'll imagine, you could change that wall, sit on the ground, and every day, twice a day, you would feel the water rise. Some days it's only a foot. Some days maybe it's 2 feet. Some days maybe it's 3 feet. You gotta wonder, just maybe, is this the day where it goes 1 inch too high? Now, if you had a local spiritor next to you who was shorter, they may not make it. So now imagine near pitch darkness, you can hear the crashing of this poor soul trying to escape that fate. That's why it said that if you walk by there during high tide, it doesn't matter the time of it, as long as it's high tide, you can still hear the chains creaking on those poor souls who did not survive. I think you'll be okay. High tide's not until 1 a.m. Unfortunately, we're not going to see on this store. It's in the residential district, and we're not allowed to go in there after 6. There's one I would recommend swinging by called the Old City Jail. Now that was actually constructed in 1802, was completed in 1810, did not close until 1939. Throughout the entire history, it never once had running water, electricity, or even proper air ventilation. They called it the abode of misery. No matter who you were, men, women, and children all fell victim to it. In fact, it was said that the guardsmen were worse than the inmates. And once you walked through the gates, your life expectancy was shortened down to 6 weeks. It was estimated that 15,000 people lost their lives within 30 minutes. they were still buried there. The courtyard area was known as the Potter's Field, not burial site. They literally just threw their bodies in ditches and buried them. We don't know the exact number of how many are still there. You can take a tour of that building. Bulldog Touring Company is the only one that's got the ability to take you in. I've been inside myself personally. I've never seen a ghost in the building. Also, I don't want to. Because the closest experience I ever had did involve that building. A few years ago, I used to live a block from it. Literally my house, when you walked out the front door, there was the gift. And one day I got done with my ghost tour nights, just like tonight. I went home, it was probably about 10:30, and I noticed there's a tour group out front, and it's my buddy Dave. I wave at him, but I don't really do much, I just go inside. About 30 minutes later, I'm walking out to take my trash out, and I noticed that the tour group's already back outside. That tour was supposed to go on for like 90 minutes. They were all gathered around someone who was sitting on the edge of the road, and that was a bit concerning. And I'm a first responder, so I went in to make sure everyone was okay. I go over there and I notice it's a girl. And again, she is just sobbing her eyes out. She is rocking back and forth, clearly distressed. And I asked him, what the heck happened? He goes, I'm trying to figure that out myself. So I go up to her and I say, what's wrong? And she told me that when she was on the second floor looking out the window, she felt this very, very intense pain around her neck. Now, I know she was wearing a necklace. So I told her I was a first responder and I asked her if I had permission to look just to make sure she was okay. She goes, yes. So I pull my flashlight out, I shine on her, and sure enough, I do see a very, very thin red line. I asked her where exactly she was. I asked her if she could point out the window, because I know the layout fairly well. The window she pointed at, I knew for a fact was an empty room. So I asked her if I could examine her neck one more time. So I'm not going to lie, the thought crossed my mind that maybe it was self-inflicted. That possibility had to be examined. So now, while I looked at her neck, what I was specifically looking for was for one side to be deeper than the other. If she caught and pulled it, then the reverse side would be deeper. Simple physics. Now what I found was a completely even line, as if it had been burned onto it. Almost a shiny fucking surface to it. It was terrifying. And ever since then, I will not go in that building. I did not feel safe in that building. It was probably the worst year of sleep I've ever had. Now, if you want to go on in, by all means, I'll point you in the right direction to go. But I'm going to warn you, if you do go in, maybe don't wear a necklace. There are tombstones inside there that date back to the 1690s. If you get a chance, go inside, read the epitaphs. You'll find they're a little different from what you see today. Now, because on your tombstone is generally decided by your last will or by the family you left behind. Back then, it was decided by the last words you ever spoke. And inside there, in the back of the second room, you'll find a tombstone that says, I love my wife, and now I get some peace and quiet. Cheeky way to go. Now, when you go around this bank, you will get another view of the graveyard. I do advise taking pictures of it. That's the one that Bulldog likes to go inside of to try and give people the opportunity to take a photograph of a spirit. There's been a lot of accounts of this. However, if you do take a photo and you manage to capture one on film, more or less, it will never look like a humanoid shape. It looks as a spectral orb of light. Most people often mistake them for flares or dust on the lens, that kind of thing. But that is how they appear, at least when they're photographed. So I'll pause up here if you want to attempt to take a picture. You might get lucky.
I have to say, this was the most exciting tour I have ever taken. And we couldn't pass up the opportunity to take the old Charleston jail tour. It's haunted after all. Now, this jail was built on top of a mass grave, and it was in operation between 1802 and 1939. Unfortunately, we were told that there was no filming on this tour, and we didn't get any special permission to do so, so I guess we'll just have to take a bunch of photos. As Josh was saying, most of the prisoners only lasted about 6 weeks. If the other prisoners didn't get to them first, they would either die of disease, snake bites, or the elements, or they would just be plain neglected.
Ravens call echo, battle cry crescent, drums of war.